والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord of the heavens and earth, the maker, the controller of this universe, the one and only who deserves to be worshipped, and peace and blessings upon our beloved messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So my dear brothers and sisters, today we're talking about the challenges or the contemporary challenges of being a Muslim. Being a Muslim is not an easy task, especially in our time. So we have identified over the last few weeks why we're here, our purpose of being, which is to worship Allah, and that we are a Khalifa of Allah. Allah has placed us as a human authority on earth. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. So we know our purpose. We know the direction. We have Quran, we have the Sunnah, the prophetic tradition of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we know the direction, we know the way. Now, how do we remain upon that path? That's the challenging task. One of the Sahaba one time came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said to him, "O Messenger of Allah, tell me something about Islam. Give me an advice, an Islamic advice. Something about Islam that if I do it and I follow it, it will be sufficient for me to go to Jannah, to succeed." So the Prophet ﷺ summarized the journey for him. He said to him, قُلْ آمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ ثُمَّ اسْتَقِمْ. Saying, I believe in Allah, and then remain steadfast upon the deen. That's it. As Allah said, فَاسْتَقِمْ كَمَا أُمِرْتَ, and remain steadfast as you've been ordered by your Lord. So steadfastness, istiqamah, remaining steadfast upon that path is a very challenging task, because there are many challenges. So some of the challenges that have existed since the beginning of mankind, one of them is shaitan. That's existed since Adam alayhi salam. That is a common challenge from the beginning of time until the end of time. That's why Allah the Almighty said, Shaitan is your biggest enemy. Aduwwun mubin. Shaitan is your biggest enemy, is Shaitan. That's number one. And Allah the Almighty has told us many stories in the Quran, especially the story of Adam alayhi salam, how Iblis, number one, he was jealous of our father Adam alayhi salam, when Allah has ordered all the malaika, the angels, to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. When Allah ordered them to prostrate to him, not as an act of worship obviously, but as an honor. Yes, respect and honor. Allah has honored Adam alayhi salam, and he made the malaika prostrate to him. Not as an act of worship, but to honor our father Adam alayhi salam. And we're all the sons of Adam alayhi salam. So Iblis is the only one. إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى وَاسْتَكْبَرَ وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Apart from Iblis, he refused. And then he done something. There was something else within Iblis that we're going to talk about. So Shaitan is our biggest enemy. And the second one, what is the second one after Shaitan? A common challenge. Nafs. What is nafs? Yeah, your own self. Your nafs. إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ. Nafs will lead you to desires. Nafs will lead you to the path of shaitan, to the path of Jahannam. Because if you follow the nafs, if you allow the nafs to control you, nafs will never lead you to pray. Nafs, you're tired, you're exhausted, just go to sleep. You don't have to go to the masjid, it's raining, it's cold. Just watch that, watch that TV, the series that you want to watch. Play some games. There's football happening right now. Nafs will always make an excuse for you. So nafs is your biggest enemy also. So our nafs is an enemy. And then arrogance, which is one of the characteristics of Iblis. إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى وَاسْتَكْبَرَ. Iblis, he refused and he was arrogant. Arrogance is a disease, and it is one of the challenges. Because some people, they have the ego, the nafs, the arrogance, and it's a very challenging disease. desires, temptations. Desires, again, they are common challenges, desires. However, with time, the challenges have become worse. So number one, we have a challenge, or a big challenge, what we call it modernity, modern world. Modernity, because the world has become a secular world, meaning religion, people only limit religion to the time that they pray, for example, or they practice religious rituals. But outside the mosque or the church or the temple, there is no religion. In your daily life, you practice what you want. You are not restricted by religion. That's what we call modernity. Modernity is all about money, materialism, secularism, no religion. Religion has no authority. Religion has no authority. That's what modernity. And that's the challenge that we face today. As humanity, as mankind. But today we're talking about Muslims. The whole of humanity is facing these challenges. But we're talking as Muslims today. We live in a secular time that people have nothing to do with religion. Or even there are a lot of Muslims today. Unfortunately, it's heartbreaking, but there are a lot of Muslims today. Religion is out of the equation. Religion to them is only when they come to the masjid, when they pray or they fast or they go to Umrah, but has nothing to do with their daily interactions, with their daily life. Why? Because of materialism. Money is making money. That's people how they speak today. Money speaks. You know, bruv, you need to make money. You need this, doesn't matter halal, haram. Come on, my brother. You need to make a living. You need to make money. You need to have, enough for your kids, your grandkids, for the future generation of your family. Doesn't matter halal, haram. That's back in the days, bruv. Don't talk about that. That's how people think nowadays. Subhanallah. Because of materialism. People are pressurized. Many families have been broken down. Why? Because of this. Materialism. It breaks families down. Why? Because we became consumers. We just consume. We consume whatever's being brought to us. We just consume it. Sometimes we don't need a new phone, but we just need to get a new phone, just for the sake of it. You didn't need a new car, just for the sake of a show, showing off. A new car, new phone, new this, a new watch, a new handbag, a new this, a new that, just for showing off. Consumerism. This is you just consuming and consuming and consuming. Feeding your nafs, following your nafs. Subhanallah. But being able to control your nafs is very important. Controlling the nafs. Because the Sahaba radiallahu anhum used to control their nafs. Like Umar radiallahu anhu. He used to be the leader of the Muslims. In our time we call it the king. Or the president of the state. The leader of the state. Normally you should live in luxury. He used to be starving sometime, and he would say to his own stomach, just carry on making those noises because of starvation. I'm not going to feed you until every Muslim is fed. Until there is no Muslim starving under my leadership. So Allah doesn't question me on the day of judgment that you had enough to eat, but people who were under your leadership, oh Umar, didn't have what to eat. One time there's a Sahabi called Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu. He used to like meat, and he used to buy meat, he used to buy a lot of stuff. So Umar one time said to him, وَيْحَكَ يَا جَابِرْ أَوَ كُلَّمَا اشْتَرَيْتَ. Oh Jabir, every time you desire something you buy it. Like, he was warning him, every time you desire something you buy it, oh Jabir. Meaning you're following your desires, your nafs. You buy what you need. If there is a necessity, if there is a need for something, then you buy it. And I'm sure a lot of us, men and women alike, but I find that a lot of sisters, sometimes you go to the shops, they buy a lot of things they don't even use. They stay in the house for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, they haven't even used them. They just use, subhanallah. Why are you buying it for? Why are you buying it? Spend that money somewhere else. Give it to charity. Get some reward, or you don't even have to give it to charity. Use it in something different. Subhanallah. Consumerism. You know that, what do you call it? Retail therapy. People, they're looking for a bit of happiness, a bit of peace. Let me splash some cash so I can feel a bit of happiness. Oh, I bought this today, I bought that. That is a therapy for some people. That's like a medication. Subhanallah. Why? Because it's spiritually empty. That's why money brings them that temporary happiness. Temporarily. So they're happy because they bought something. Oh, I spent a bit of money today. Subhanallah. So consumerism is a big problem. It's one of the challenges that we face today. And I'm going to move on to the next one. I'm going to link it to this. One of the big challenges that we have today in our modern time, which is social media platforms, electronic devices, which is part of modernity, but this phenomena of social media, electronic devices, is one of the biggest challenges today we face as Muslims. I said, we face as humanity, as mankind, but as Muslims specifically, we do face this challenge also of social media and electronic devices. Let's break it down now. How is social media a challenge? Social media is a challenge in different ways, in many ways, is a challenge for the Muslims. Number one, we can link it to what I said, consumerism. People today, they follow those, what they call them, influencers, online influencers on different social media platforms. And then what happens? Competition starts to take place. There's competition between family members, between friends. So the wife of so-and-so has a social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, Snap, whatever, Twitter. Well, Snap is mainly for teenagers nowadays. But Instagram and Facebook, oh, I've seen the wife of so-and-so, her husband bought Hadith. Why didn't you buy me? Oh, they were in this place eating that. They were in that dessert shop. They were in that restaurant. They were in that place. Oh, my husband is boring. He doesn't take me places. He doesn't buy me this. He doesn't buy me that. And then problems start to take place in the house. This competition. Subhanallah. And then problems start to take place. And then the husband is pressurized because he needs more money all the time to fulfill the needs of the kids and the wife and the kids. All of them today, most of them, they want electronic devices. You buy them one, oh, I want the latest one because my friend has the latest one. And that's, subhanallah, that is a cycle, that is a non-stop cycle. It will never end. If you don't put a stop to it, believe me, it will drag you down. You will be drowning. You will be drowning in this cycle of competition and just fulfilling the social media platforms' desires and needs. Believe me, it's a non-stop cycle. Once you get into it, that's it. That's it. You're like a prisoner. You are in prison. You are imprisoned by the desires. You are imprisoned by social media platforms. And it's a disease, it's a big challenge. Then how can you fulfill your duties to Allah? Why? Because you're going to be occupied with dunya, making money, because it's never enough. Whatever you make is not enough. You're always wanting more and more and more. And it's a big challenge. We've seen families breaking down because of social media platform. Again, they watch those influencers. They're deceiving you. How are they deceiving you? They show you about 10 minutes, half an hour of the daily life. You think they are happy 24/7. They just show you half an hour, 1 hour of their daily life. You don't live with them 24/7. But they show you, oh, they're so cute. Look at them. Look how he's romantic. Look how he speaks to his wife. Look how he looks at her. Look how she looks at him. Oh, amazing. My husband is boring. My husband is this. Or even a lot of men today, they go to those social media platforms. Oh, look at his wife, man. She looks pretty. She looks this. Subhanallah, my wife, she's always smelling of onions and garlic. Because she's looking after you. Subhanallah, she's feeding you. She's feeding your kids. She's looking after you. That's more than a full-time job, subhanallah. But because people, they're not thinking. They're just seeing those, filters. Those filters online, and they get deceived by those filters. And it destroys a lot of relationships. And sometimes it destroys relationship, not just by people getting divorced. No. There is what we call today there is a silent divorce. A lot of people are divorced silently. They are still together, but there is nothing there. There is no connection. There is no connection. That's what we call silent divorce. They're not divorced physically or on paper, but they are divorced emotionally, psychologically. They are divorced. Silent divorce. Because there's nothing in common anymore. And that's why, again, that's why a lot of people, they spend time on social media. Because the husband and wife, a lot of the times, they can't speak to each other. They have nothing in common. The minute they start talking about something, they start arguing. Oh, that's it, I don't want to talk to you. Let me just go on my phone. She's annoying. Oh, he's annoying. I can never talk to him. She can never listen. He can never this. That's it. So she goes on her electronic devices, and he goes in his electronic devices. And that's it. That's life. Subhanallah. Or sometimes, which is very dangerous, I've seen in many families what brings them together because they have nothing in common. They cannot communicate about anything. The only thing they can communicate about sometimes is when they are backbiting about people. When they are backbiting about other people. Yes, that brings them together. That is in common. Because it's nothing to do with them. So, yeah, so his wife, his son, his daughter, backbiting. Yeah, because that's in common, that's fine. Believe me, brothers, what we're facing today brings a lot of problems with it. If we don't know how to navigate through these challenges that we face today, believe me, it will destroy many of us. And we've seen many families being destroyed. And many families are suffering, but in silence. That's the problem. A lot of people, they don't have the courage to speak. They don't have the courage to go and resolve their matters. They don't have the courage to go and seek advice. They don't have the courage to sit down and try and resolve the matters. Some people don't. They just carry on like that. Again, why? Because of some of the challenges that we mentioned earlier, the nafs and the ego. Because people are ashamed. Oh no, me, I'm not going to go to anyone to seek advice. No, people respect me in the community. They're going to look differently at me. No, I'm going to show that I'm perfect. I'm a perfect husband, perfect family, perfect wife. Yeah. And that's it. They carry on suffering in silence for years and years and years. And sometimes, who is the victim? The kids. The kids are the victims. Subhanallah. You know today a lot of kids, did you know? A lot of kids, my brothers and sisters, they are the orphans of social media platforms. Before, we know an orphan is somebody that his father died. But today, we have a lot of orphans in our ummah today because their parents are busy. The father more likely is busy with dunya, and the mother is busy with electronic devices, social media platforms, movies and things like that, and that's it. And the kids are the victims of social media platforms. It's a disaster. It's a big disaster that we have today. If you go to many Muslim family institutions, believe me, and you go inside and you see what takes place, you will be heartbroken. Believe me, you will be heartbroken. Yes, subhanallah. So my brothers and sisters, there are many challenges, and we are raising awareness tonight about these challenges, so we are aware of them. We know what challenges we face, so that we can wake up from heedlessness, from ghafla, and we have the right ways to understand how to overcome the challenges, how to navigate these challenges and these problems as Muslims, and remain steadfast upon the deen. Because if we can't overcome these challenges, it will impact our connection with Allah. It will impact our deen. That's why some people, they work non-stop to provide financial or to support the financial needs of the family, and the father doesn't have time to go to the masjid, doesn't have time to read Quran, doesn't have time to connect with Allah, because he's busy making money. There's always demand. Of course, we know financially, all over the globe today, the financial crisis and the prices are going up and everything, of course. However, it should not make any of us disconnect from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or not, fulfill our duties towards Allah the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, one of the challenges again is social media platforms. So, families are following the influencers and being deceived because they're only showing you half an hour, 1 hour, or what they choose from their daily life, and you're being deceived. So, If you decide those are your example in life, your role model in life, that's a big problem. Because we mentioned last time, who is our role model in life? Is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's it. So social media platforms should never be my role model in life. No. Influencers online, they should never be my role model in life. My role model in life is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is the Sahaba of Rasulullah. Yes. No, these people, who are they? They are nothing. And families are breaking down because of these social media platforms. It's a big disease. And this is one of the biggest problems, one of the biggest mistakes that you can make, especially in your relationships as a family, is you compare your relationship to another relationship. I know this is a topic that we will talk about in the future, inshallah, but one of the problems sometimes that causes many problems or many challenges in a family institution is that when you start comparing your marriage to another marriage. That's a big problem. That's a big mistake. That is basically you failing your marriage from the start, from the beginning. Because every relationship is different. Every two people are different. Sometimes I've seen families, somebody just been married for like 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, he's comparing his marriage to a couple who've been married for 20 years, or 15 years, or 30 years. It took them 30 years to get to where they are today. How can you get there in 1 year or 2 years? How can you compare your marriage to them? Subhanallah. Your wife she's different than your wife. Her husband is different than your husband. Subhanallah. What are you comparing? Don't compare your relationships to anyone else. Compare your relationship to Quran and Sunnah, to Allah, to the way of Rasulullah, to how Rasulullah was with his wives, for example. How the wives of Rasulullah used to be with Rasulullah, to Islam. That is your template. That's it. And again, the competition that happens in social media platforms, following those social media platforms, a lot of competition takes place, like I said. And more than that, a lot of corruption. Yes, there are a lot of good things in social media. However, there is a lot of corruption on social media platforms. A lot of people, they get addicted to it. So there's the element of addiction. Addicted to either social media platforms, computer games. Some people, not just youngsters. I know people who are married, their father's older, but they are addicted to computer games. A man with 3-4 kids, addicted to computer games. Hours playing computer games. Subhanallah. What is this? How can this person lead a family? How can he lead a family? So, these are very dangerous. I know a family, I'll give you this story. I know a family, the son, at that time, it was only about 11. He used to wake up about 4, 5 in the morning. His parents are still sleeping. He goes downstairs, he started playing games on the computer. 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, parents are still sleeping. Every day he wakes up and he goes to play computer games. Before they wake up in the morning to wake him up for school, he's already there playing computer games. Subhanallah. He was addicted. That's it. So if you ask his parents to wake him up, for example, for Fajr Salah, oh no, he's too young. No, he's not gonna have a good day in school. He's gonna be tired. He's gonna be exhausted. He's already waking up for computer games 4 o'clock in the morning, and he has a good day in school. Subhanallah. But all of this, my brothers and sisters, what happens? Because of these challenges, because of these diseases, because of the challenges, what happens? The heart becomes empty. The heart becomes empty, and people are looking to fill up the emptiness of the heart in different places. Whether in social media platforms, games, backbiting, spending money, dunya, desires. Because the emptiness of the heart, if it's not filled up with Allah, with the Quran, with the sujood, with the ruku', with the remembrance of Allah, it's going to be empty. And it needs to be filled up anyway. But people fill it up with iman and righteousness, and others, they fill it up with corruption. One of the other challenges that we face as Muslims is the challenge of identity. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, بدأ الإسلام غريبا وسيعود غريبا فطوبى للغرباء. Islam has came very strange. And Islam will come back and will end very strange. Meaning, to be a Muslim, you will be a stranger. You will be a complete stranger if you are a Muslim. Why? Because the majority of people around you, in society, in school, in college, in university, they will look at you as a stranger because you are different. You are the minority. Like Ibrahim alayhi salam. He was the only worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his village. His father was an idol worshipper and he was an idol maker. The whole village used to be idol worshippers. He was the only Muslim. So he was facing that challenge of identity. But he didn't give up his identity. He didn't change his identity. He didn't think, oh, you know what? If I show that I am a Muslim, they're not going to like me. They're not going to be friends with me. Like a lot of our youngsters today, in school, in college, that's how they are. They feel ashamed to say that I am a Muslim. Why? Because they feel they're going to be left out. So I have to fit in, I have to blend in, for them to like me, to be friends with me. So I have to show that I am like them. Subhanallah. But I don't blame the youngsters for that. I blame the parents. It's the parents to blame. It's not the kids. It's not. I know schools. I know a school, for example, they have given a prayer room for the Muslim students. It's not because the parents asked for it, because a local imam went and spoke to the school and he said, you know, this high school, there's a lot of Muslim students here and they need to have a prayer room because they need to pray. So they have made a prayer room for them. But after 2-3 months, no one was going there to pray. No one. They had to close it down because he said it's a waste of space. We have to utilize the space. We can't just have an empty room, nobody uses it. So we have to use it as something else. So they had to turn it into a different office because no one was going to pray, to do salah. Subhanallah. I know parents who never go to schools and say, oh, my son or my daughter needs to pray, for example. Or no, because the parents themselves, they are ashamed, embarrassed. Oh, no, I can't go and say that to them. Oh no, they're going to be looking at us differently. Maybe they may not like my son. They may not like my daughter. No. Subhanallah. Why? You're a Muslim. You are the first one that you need to show your family, your kids, that you are proud of your identity as a Muslim. You are proud to be Muslim. Teach them to be proud of their identity as Muslims, but in the meantime, teach them to be a good ambassadors of Islam with their mannerisms and good character. So when they go to school, they are unique. They are different. They are distinguished from others by what? Not by their religion, by their mannerisms and character. That's what we want. So the challenge of identity is a big challenge for all of us. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was the only worshipper of Allah in his community. He was not deceived by the majority. As Allah the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِن تَتَّبِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّوكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. If you follow the majority of people on earth, they will take you away from the path of Allah. So it's not the majority, it's the minority. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was in Mecca at the beginning, was he a majority or minority? He was a minority. Expansions started happening and taking place, but the Muslims, they used to be always the minority, not the majority. And the minority is always the people of righteousness and piety and gratitude. As Allah said, وَقَلِيلٌ مِنْ عِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورِ. It is only a few of my servants who show gratitude to me. Subhanallah. So don't be deceived by the majority. Don't be deceived by the majority. Be with the people of Iman. Be with people of righteousness, even if they are the minority. Be with the people of Iman. Be with people of righteousness. Be with people of Islam. So this challenge of identity is a big challenge. A lot of us today, we don't pay attention to it. Some of us, we don't even know it's a challenge. We don't even understand. We don't even think, what's this identity? What are you talking about? Your identity is who you are. Your identity is who you are as a Muslim. That's what's your identity. Your identity is your religion. Your identity is your Iman. Your identity is your aqidah. Your identity is your belief in Allah. That's your identity. That's who you are. Because without Iman, we are nothing. Without Islam, we are nothing. Like the Sahaba radiallahu anhum before Islam. They used to live in Arabia. They were nothing. They had no status. They had no value. They were nothing. They were just people in the desert, just Bedouins in the desert. They were nothing. Like Umar radiallahu anhu said, نحن قوم أعزنا الله بالإسلام. We are a community that Allah has honored us with Islam. And if we seek honor in something other than Islam, أذلنا Allah. Allah will humiliate us. Without Islam, we are nothing. Without Islam. Islam is who you are. So that's your identity. It's Islam. It's Iman. It's Aqidah. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, he stood up against the majority. And he did not give up his identity. He was not deceived. He didn't think, oh, they're not going to like me. They're not going to be friends with me. I'm not going to fit in. No, he didn't care. What happened? How Allah... If you look into the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, look how Allah, number one, saved him from the fire. They threw him into the fire did not even burn him. قُلْنَا يَا نَارُ كُونِي بَرْدًا وَسَلَامًا عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ. Oh fire, be cool and safe upon Ibrahim. Because why? Allah said the Almighty. This is a promise of Allah. And remember this. There's two promises in the Quran. There's two promises. There's a true promise and a false promise. The true promise, without doubt, is the promise of Allah the Almighty. And the false promise is the promise of Shaitan. الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعدكم مغفرة منه وفضلا. Shaitan promises you poverty and Shaitan leads you to corruption. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah promises you forgiveness and goodness. So Allah the Almighty promised the believers. Allah said, وَكَانَ حَقًّا عَلَيْنَا نَصْرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. It is a duty upon us to give victory to the believers. Victory to the believers, not just when they are in the battlefield fighting. Victory to the believers in different ways. You might be stuck sometime. You might be in a difficult circumstances sometime. You might be in a big calamity or hardship. And Allah will bring you victory. Allah will support you at that moment of time. When you feel like there's no one there for you, Allah will be there for you. Ibrahim alayhi salam, there was no one there for him. No one. No one there for him. They threw him into the fire. His father was a disbeliever. His father, the first one who said, punish him. So he had no one. He had no, imagine, it's easy speaking about it, but just sit on your own time. Think about somebody who had no one. At least you have your mom, your dad as a Muslim, your cousin, your auntie, your friend, some Muslim community. He had no one at all. By himself, only one. Only Muslim. Subhanallah. It's not an easy task, it's very challenging. Very challenging. But yet, he remained steadfast upon the deen. He faced all those challenges, but he overcame the challenges. So that's how Ibrahim alayhi salam overcame the challenges by his iman. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the fire to be cool and safe upon Ibrahim. When they were about to throw him into the fire, Angel Jibreel came to him. And he said to him, oh Ibrahim, do you need some help? And then Ibrahim responded. He said, Minka fala. If it is from you, no. Look the strength of Iman. Strong Iman. He said, if it is from you, no. If it is from Allah, then yes. Believe in Allah, trust in Allah, reliance upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He trusted in Allah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was there for him at that moment of time. Allah supported him. قُلْنَا يَا نَارُ كُونِي بَرْدًا وَسَلَامًا عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ. We said, oh fire, be cool and safe upon Ibrahim alayhi salam. Bilal radiallahu anhu, one of the early Muslims, and I'm sure a lot of you, or all of you, you know the story of Bilal radiallahu anhu. Bilal radiallahu anhu, he was an African slave from Habasha. was a slave. Umayyah was his master. So he became Muslim. He was one of the early Muslims. So he was tortured and abused by his master. And he was put in a big rock on his stomach. And he was being punished and tortured just because he was saying, La ilaha illallah, ahadun ahad. Allah is one, Allah is one. And he's saying to him, you stop saying Allah is one, we stop torturing you. He was saying, Allah is one, Allah is one. And he used to torture him. Who made him free? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, yes. Abu Bakr freed him after. But Rasulullah asked Bilal radiallahu anhu, said to him, oh Bilal. Because at that stage, Rasulullah was in pain. Imagine Rasulullah in pain, the Sahaba in pain, and he couldn't do anything. Because at that time, the early stages of Islam, they're still very weak. And plus, slavery was still taking place in Mecca. So that was a slave. They couldn't do anything. That's his master. Can you imagine? Your Muslim brother at that time was being tortured in front of you. You couldn't do anything. You just watch and make dua. That's it. So, Rasulullah asked Bilal. He said, oh Bilal, how come that they used to torture you? The more they torture you, the more you say, Allah is one, Allah is one. How come? He said, by Allah, oh Rasulullah. The more I was saying it, the more I was feeling the sweetness of Iman. The more they used to torture me and abuse me, I didn't used to feel the pain. So Allah was supporting him at that time. Why? What is his challenge? A challenge of identity. Challenge of identity. His identity is Islam. Subhanallah. So the challenge of identity is a big challenge for many Muslims today, not just ours, because a lot of the times, our kids, yeah, but what about you? You, if you are as a parent, your identity is not a strong identity, don't think about you, think about you because you're the one that needs to have a strong identity so you can pass it on to your kids. Subhanallah. And that's why I said a lot of Muslim kids today, in schools, in universities, in colleges, they're ashamed to say we are Muslims. They're ashamed to say, this is not allowed for me in my religion, I can't do this. Why? Because they're scared. Because they feel like, people are not going to be friends with me, people are not going to talk to me, they're going to bully me, they're going to look at me differently, I'm going to be lonely, I'm going to be isolated. And like I said, a lot of parents, they're not even aware of this. Because if you want your son and daughter to have an identity, also you need to provide them an alternative. That's why the importance of the masjid. And masjid, Islamic schools, why? At least they come to the masjid on a Sunday or Saturday. So Islamic schools, they make Muslim friends. So if those people in state school, they're not friends with them, they have other friends, they're not lonely. They're not isolated. They can make Muslim friends. They can have that sense of belonging to a community. So even those people, you don't want to be friends with them, it's fine. I have my friends. I have my Muslim friends that I see in the masjid, that I spend time with, that we can do activities with, that we can do Eid party with, that we can do trips with. I have my Muslim community that I have fun with. That's very important. Because sometimes it's easy to say to someone, this is haram, this is haram. What is the alternative? Especially in this day and age. In this day and age, you have to have, we call it, the Islamic alternative of everything. If you're saying to your son or daughter, music is haram, okay, we have the alternative. For example, Islamic nasheed. Or this is haram, find the Islamic alternative to it. If you don't celebrate birthdays, okay, birthday is haram, no, I'm not saying, find an alternative. Celebrate your sons or daughters 3, 4, 5 times, because I had families coming to me saying, look, we don't celebrate birthdays, I don't agree with them, but my sons and daughters, they say, no, this is boring, my friend, his parents, they celebrate birthday, they buy him this. I said, okay, if you don't celebrate it, you don't agree with it, it's fine. Because obviously we don't want to impose any opinions on people, that's your own choices in terms of birthday. But I said, okay, now your son or daughter is going to think that, see, my parents are boring, Islam is boring, we don't celebrate anything, it's only Eid, but the other people, they are proud of their sons and daughters and they celebrate them. I said, how about you celebrate your son or daughter 4 times a year? Every 3 months you do a party in the house. So to them, it's not a birthday party, but I celebrate you 4 times a year. Every 3 months I do a big party for you. They celebrate only once a year, their birthday party, but I do it 4 times a year for you. Every 3 months, I make a big party for you. I buy you a gift, I buy you this, I buy you that. Alternatives, always think of alternatives. Islamic alternatives, very important. Because this will nurture the identity, especially of our youngsters. It's very important. Because this identity challenge, honestly, the talk about it, I can spend hours and hours and hours, but of course, we're just giving small reminders just for us to wake up. Just to wake up and to start becoming aware of the challenges that we face today as Muslims, my brothers and sisters. So now, there's more challenges, but of course, I want to allow time for questions and discussions. But let me just quickly touch on some of the solutions. So some of the solutions, some of them, we've mentioned them before in the past. Number one is that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's important to come to the house of Allah. Come to the house of Allah. Because today we don't have just kids or youngsters who are isolated. It's also families. Families who are isolated from the community. Families who are lonely families. Lonely families. They remain alone. And then their iman dies slowly. Because a family does not connect with Allah, that don't go to the masjid, they don't revive their iman. Believe me, the iman will die. Slowly, no matter how strong you are. If you don't, like when you plant a seed, if you don't keep planting that seed, like putting water, it will die. Same thing. No matter how strong you are, you will die. Your iman will die. Your heart will die. And that's why Allah, specifically I'm talking to this community, Allah has blessed you with a masjid. So make the most of it. So you have a masjid now, don't make it a masjid, you just come and pray your 5 daily salah and you go home. And you sleep. No. You need to utilize this masjid now. Use this masjid for the community. If you're going to come just on a Sunday, that's it, or a Jumu'ah, what's the benefit of this masjid? You can pray anywhere. Rasulullah said, جُعِلَتْ لِيَ الْأَرْضُ مَسْجِدًا وَطَهُورًا. The Prophet said, the whole earth is a masjid for me. You can pray anywhere. But the masjid is not only just come and pray and go home, no. The masjid is the place where you build your iman. It's the masjid. A masjid is where you remember that you are a Muslim. A masjid is where you belong. This is your place where you belong. It's with Muslims, with the Ummah. I know a family who isolated from the community for about 8 months. This is last Ramadan I'm talking about. And so before last Ramadan, a family isolated themselves from the community for about 8 months. And they lived in just outside one of the big cities in the area. And what happened? What happened is both the husband and wife, they were very close to leaving Islam. Both of them. They were very close to leaving Islam. So when they came, and I know the person, Ramadan changed him. He said, and they have a young child. He said, now I've woken up. He said, they were about to become atheists. He said, now, I said, I'm in a shock. I'm traumatized by the direction that I was taking, me and my wife. He said, our son was going to be a victim of that. Imagine we left Islam, our son wouldn't be a Muslim. Why? Because they isolated themselves from the community. And it's a big problem. That is a very dangerous thing to do. Never isolate yourself from the community. Never. Remain as part of the community. Remain as part of the community all the time. Because as I said before, pillars of support. You see your Muslim brothers, your Muslim sisters, you remember your identity, you remember your Islam, you remember your Iman. You're a Muslim, it brings you back to Allah, it reminds you. But if you isolate, you are in danger. You are in big danger. So number one, come to the houses of Allah. Houses of Allah, Allah said, وَأَنَّ الْمَسَاجِدَ لِلَّهِ. The masajid, the mosque, is the houses of Allah. Why do we call them the houses of Allah? Because the houses of Iman, the houses of light, of Nur, the houses of peace and tranquility. Subhanallah. So number one, I say, make it a common practice that you come to the masjid. You want your sons and daughters to grow up in the masjid. To grow up remembering that we grew up in a masjid. Masjid was part of our life. That's very important. You want them to grow up having memories that masjid was part of our life. We used to go there every week. We used to go, as family, and we used to see other families there, and they make friends in the masjid. That's very important. And of course, remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Quran, remembrance of Allah, attending talks, lectures like this to revive your Iman. Sitting at home and being, I'm going to just watch something of Mufti Saab, Mufti do this and that online, it's not going to make a difference. Believe me. Yeah, you take some information, it boosts you a little bit, and that's it. But masjid is different. Nothing will replace a masjid, believe me. Nothing will ever replace a house of Allah. It's a house of Allah. Subhanallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The platform is yours.